Have you ever wondered why we speak so many different languages? Why you might be watching this video in English, while your neighbor speaks Spanish, and someone across the world speaks Mandarin? The answer might just be found in one of the most famous stories ever told, the story of the Tower of Babel. It's a tale that has fascinated humanity for thousands of years, and today, we're going to dive deep into what it's really about. The story comes from the book of Genesis in the Hebrew Bible. After the Great Flood, all of humanity was united. They spoke a single language and shared a common culture. As they migrated eastward, they settled in a plain in the land of Shinar, which is modern-day Iraq. And there, they had a grand idea. They said to each other, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth." They were ambitious, weren't they? They had discovered how to make bricks and use bitumen for mortar, a major technological leap for the time. They began constructing this massive city and its centerpiece, a towering ziggurat meant to pierce the clouds. Their goal was twofold: to achieve fame and to stay together, united in one place.
Ow.
They wanted to create a monument to their own power and ingenuity, a symbol of human unity and achievement that would last forever. But this ambition didn't sit well with God. The story says that God came down to see the city and the tower they were building. He saw their unity not as a beautiful thing, but as a source of unchecked pride and arrogance. He said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. He saw that their ambition knew no bounds, and that this could lead them down a dangerous path, a path where they might believe they were equal to God himself. So, to curb this hubris, God decided to act. He said, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." And just like that, chaos erupted. Imagine working on a construction site one moment, asking your coworker for a hammer, and the next moment, he's speaking a language you've never heard before. You try to ask someone else, but they too are speaking gibberish. Communication broke down completely. Teamwork became impossible. The grand project ground to a halt. Frustrated and unable to understand one another, the people abandoned the city and scattered across the world, just as they had feared. And from this scattering, the story tells us, the world's many languages and nations were born. The city was named Babel, from the Hebrew word balal, which means to confuse or to jumble. It's a powerful and dramatic story. It's a simple explanation for why we have so many languages. But if we dig a little deeper, we find so much more. One of the most common interpretations is that the story is a cautionary tale about human pride or hubris. The people of Babel weren't just building a tower. They were trying to storm the heavens and make a name for themselves, essentially trying to become godlike. Their ambition wasn't directed toward a higher purpose, but toward their own glory. The story serves as a reminder that there are limits to human power and that we should remain humble. It suggests that when our ambition is purely self-serving, it can lead to our downfall. Another fascinating interpretation connects the Tower of Babel to the historical context of ancient Mesopotamia. Archaeologists have uncovered the ruins of massive ziggurats in that region, particularly in Babylon. The Etemenanke, a ziggurat dedicated to the god Marduk in Babylon, is often cited as a possible real-life inspiration for the Tower of Babel. This structure was immense, possibly reaching up to 300 feet high. It's plausible that the ancient Israelites, who were at times exiled in Babylon, saw these towering pagan temples and created the Babel story as a critique. For them, these ziggurats represented the arrogance and idolatry of the powerful Babylonian Empire. The story of its divine destruction would have been a powerful message of hope for a captive people, a promise that even the mightiest empires will eventually fall before God. So, is the story just about pride and ancient politics? Not entirely. Some thinkers see a different message. They focus on the idea of unity. Was the forced unity of Babel really a good thing? Everyone speaking the same language, thinking the same thoughts, living in the same place? It sounds a bit like a dystopia, doesn't it? In this view, God's act of confusing the languages wasn't just a punishment, but a blessing in disguise. By scattering humanity, God was creating diversity. He was encouraging different cultures, different perspectives, and different ways of life to flourish. Think about it. Our world is rich and vibrant precisely because of our differences. We have different art, music, food, and philosophies, all born from our unique linguistic and cultural backgrounds. From this perspective, the fall of Babel wasn't a tragedy, but the necessary step for humanity to truly blossom in all its wonderful variety. This brings us to a beautiful contrast found later in the Bible, in the New Testament story of Pentecost. At Pentecost, the apostles of Jesus are gathered together, and the Holy Spirit descends upon them. Suddenly, they begin to speak in different languages, but something miraculous happens. People from all over the world who have gathered in Jerusalem can each understand the apostles in their own native tongue. Where Babel was about the confusion of language leading to division, Pentecost is about the miracle of language leading to understanding. It doesn't erase the different languages. Instead, it bridges the gap between them. It presents a new kind of unity, one that is not based on uniformity, but on mutual understanding and respect for diversity. It's a powerful bookend to the Babel story, suggesting that while human pride divides us, a higher spirit of empathy and connection can bring us together again, not by making us all the same, but by helping us appreciate our differences. In the modern world, the legacy of Babel is everywhere. We live in a globalized society, a global village, yet we are still separated by thousands of languages. This creates challenges, of course, in diplomacy, business, and even personal relationships. But it also creates opportunities. The effort to learn another language, to understand another culture, is a direct response to the curse of Babel. Every time we use a translation app, hire an interpreter, or take a language class, we are, in a small way, rebuilding that tower, but we're doing it differently this time. The goal is not to reach heaven with a single voice, but to build bridges of understanding between many voices on earth. The story of the Tower of Babel is so much more than an ancient myth. It's a profound reflection on human nature. It asks us to consider the nature of our ambition. Are we building for our own glory or for a greater good? It challenges us to think about unity and diversity. It's true unity found in everyone being the same, or in celebrating and understanding our differences. And it reminds us that communication is the foundation of community. When we can't understand each other, we fall apart. But when we make the effort to listen and to speak across divides, we can create something truly wonderful. So the next time you hear a foreign language, maybe don't just see it as a barrier. See it as a piece of the beautiful, complex, and diverse tapestry of humanity that was woven on the plains of Shinar so long ago. The tower may have fallen, but the story it tells stands taller than ever. Thanks for watching. If you found this exploration of the Tower of Babel interesting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the stories that have shaped our world. See you next time.